I'm sure you've seen the classic Blender donut tutorial. These tutorials are the gateway into actually learning the functionality of Blender. But what if I told you that you can learn Blender in about a quarter of the time with Claude Code, hooking up to a Blender MCP and building this donut in 15 minutes? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that, how you can get into Blender a lot faster. I do want to note that learning Blender is a very tough skill to start out with, and it is a good idea to get good understanding of the functionality and the templates and the skills framework of Blender to create projects like these. But that's not the purpose for today. I'm going to show you how you can create a Blender donut with Claude Code. To start this project, you're going to need to use an IDE, and an IDE is something like Visual Studio Code, Anti-Gravity, Cursor. People have their preferences. I prefer Visual Studio Code, but this is where we're going to have Claude Code live to build out our Blender MCP, and then where we can prompt to create in Blender. If you do not have Visual Studio Code downloaded on your computer, go to code.visualstudio.com, download it for macOS or for Windows, throw it into your applications, and then open it up. When you open it, it's gonna look just like this. It might be very intimidating. I thought it was very intimidating at first, but I promise you, I'm gonna walk you through how you can set this up with Claude Code and essentially talk to it like a chatbot. So firstly, we want to download Claude Code into our IDE. And how you're gonna do that is find the extensions tab right here on the left. Click that and then search up Claude Code. You're going to find the first Claude Code for VS Code tab right here. Open that and make sure that the developer is Anthropic and it has 5.5 million downloads to this day. I've already installed Claude Code into my IDE, but you'll see an install button right here. Click that, install it, and then you'll see that Claude Code is activated in your IDE right here in the top right corner. You'll see a little icon for the Claude logo. If we click that icon, it's going to pull up our Claude Code chat box essentially. This is where we're going to talk to Claude to start building out the actual donut in Blender. So what we can do is we can close out of this extension tab and then click onto our File Explorer tab, which is the top left icon right there. And then now we have our environment set up. So we have Claude on the right, and then we have our Explorer on the left. Now with Claude Code, you do need to set up a project directory, and we're going to do that right now. Essentially, this is where you're going to store all your project folders, files, templates, skills, that you can save so Claude Code can look at in the future. So I always open a project on my local device. I don't go through Google Drive or iCloud. You'll notice Claude Code is a lot slower when you go through those cloud-based services. So I recommend storing it on your local device or a desktop folder or your downloads folder. I'm gonna show you exactly how you can open up a folder to start working with Claude Code. So we're gonna click the open folder button right here, and it's gonna pull up our Finder. I'm just gonna scroll down to my Aiden Static computer, and then I save all of my Claude Code projects in my project folder. We're going to create a new folder and name this Blender Donut Tutorial. So we have Blender Donut Tutorial saved. We will create that folder and then we're going to open it. If you have the little VS Code chat box pop up, that's okay. Just close out of that and then make sure that your Claude Code is open in your IDE. So now we need to download the Blender MCP into the Blender Donut Tutorial folder so Claude can understand how to create the Python file to connect to Blender. Promise you, this sounds super technical. I'm not technical at all. It's super easy to set this up. So I want you to go down in the description and you'll see a Claude.md file download. That's going to take you to a drive link. Download that and download it into your Blender Donut tutorial. So you have that Claude.md file. I'm going to just drag mine into my Blender Donut tutorial folder. When you drop that in, you'll notice it will open up and you're going to see a bunch of text on how Claude Code is going to create this Python file for you. You don't have to look at it. Trust me, all we have to do is just prompt Claude Code to look at it, create the Python file, and then we will go to the next steps of actually connecting it to the Blender MCP. I'm gonna move this Claude file over to the left and then move my Claude Code actual chat box to the right here. Okay, now we need to create the actual Blender MCP add-on. We're gonna just prompt Claude Code, just a super simple prompt to essentially read through this Claude.md file so it can create that Python script for us. Hey Claude, can you look at the Claude copy MD file and create the Blender MCP that I can install into Blender? So all I said was, hey Claude, can you look at the Claude Code MD file and create the Blender MCP that I can install into Blender? We're gonna hit go on that and give it a second to actually generate an output. Okay, it just gave an output of an add-on Python file and then a .mcp.json file. It'll actually give you instructions on how to install the add-on.python file into the Blender MCP, but I'm gonna show you how to do that visually here. So as you can see up in this top left corner, we have the .mcp.json file, and then we have the add-on.python file. We're going to be using this add-on.python file to actually connect to Blender. Once we connect that, Claude Code is then hooked up to Blender and we can start prompting to create the donut. Sounds crazy, but it's true. So the next step is to actually have Blender downloaded on your desktop. I recommend that you download the most recent version, so 5.0.1. It just came out about 2 months ago. And to get out of this intro screen, we're going to click out of the box, and then we will see the classic Blender intro layout. We have the camera right here, we have the cube, and then we have the light. And if we go into our rendering mode here up in the top right, you can see the actual shading is working, but we're not gonna be using any of that right now. We're gonna actually install the addon.python file into Blender so we can connect the MCP and start prompting in Claude Code. How you do that is you're gonna go up to this edit tab right here. You're gonna click preferences. It's gonna pull up this directory for you, and you're gonna go all the way down to add-ons. Make sure you are on add-ons, and then you're gonna go up to the top right, click the downward facing arrow, and then click install from disk. Then you're gonna go find the actual Blender Donut tutorial folder that you just created in your IDE, which mine was in Aiden Stanek projects, and then the Blender Donut tutorial. We have the addon.python file right there. We're gonna install that from disk. And then as you can see, when you install that, it pulls up this Blender MCP and it's checked, so that means it is running. You can uninstall it if you want, and then I'll show you the actual file path. So users Aiden Stanek library addons.python file. We're gonna get out of this add-ons directory, and then we're gonna click N on our keyboard. This will pull up a new directory where we can see the item, the tools, the views, animations, and then the actual Blender MCP at the very bottom. We're gonna click that connect to Blender MCP server, which now we are connected. And we need to go back to Claude Code and verify that Claude Code has access to this Blender MCP. Okay, we're back in VS Code working with Claude Code, and we're just gonna ask Claude, do you have access to the Blender MCP? I just connected and installed the add-on into Blender. Okay, it's saying I don't have access, and I've been noticing this recently. You have to start a new Claude Code chat session. So that's super easy. All we're gonna do is click on the Claude Code icon up at the right, close out of the old one, and then we can prompt it again. This is a new chat. Let me know if you are connected to the Blender MCP. Okay, it's saying, yes, I'm connected to the Blender MCP. Your scene currently has a cube, light, camera, and 2 materials, which I don't know what that is. So we do know that we have a cube, light, and camera. So that shows that Claude Code is now connected to Blender and we can start working. Now, essentially, when you are watching Blender Donut tutorials, a lot of it is sculpting, molding, adding shapes, adding 3D elements, learning geometry nodes. We're essentially going to skip over that entire part and just start actually building the donut. So now this becomes a prompt to generation workflow. Instead of actually going in and building out the scene yourself, you're gonna have Claude Code build it for you. And what I find is easiest is we're gonna go to Google and find a reference image of a Blender donut. We're gonna upload that image into our Blender donut tutorial. Then we're gonna copy the path of that image into our chat box right here, have Claude analyze that image, and then it will give us an output to as closely as it can possible, and then we iterate from there. So let me show you that process. I'm gonna go to Google and just search up Blender Donut. I will go all the way over to images, and then I'm gonna find one that I really like. So I like this image right here. I'm going to save this image as, and then I'm gonna go back into my project directory. So again, that's my Aiden Stanek projects, Blender Donut tutorial, and then I'm gonna rename it reference image, and I'm gonna save that into my folder. Now, if we go back to VS Code and Claude Code, you'll notice that we have a reference image.jpg, and that is the donut that we just saved from Google. So what we're gonna do is we're going to either call in the Claude Code chatbot and say, hey, look at the reference image.jpg, or we can just copy the path. Then I'll prompt Claude Code to do this. I want you to look at the image of the file path. Build out a donut as close to the reference image.jpg as possible in Blender. So all I said to Claude was, I want you to look at the image of the file path, build out a donut as close to the reference image as possible in Blender. I'm gonna hit go, and I'm gonna go back over to Blender and watch it build out. Okay, so we're back in Blender. We're gonna watch this actually build in real time. Okay, so it looks like it edited the actual torus shape of the donut. This is the classic torus shape that you always see in the Blender tutorials. Right now, it does not look like it's being shaded. There's no light on it. Claude Code has not added a camera or a light to this. So all you see is just the outline and a really dark shape, which will all be updated later. And the crazy thing about when this is being built out, Claude Code is running in the background. So you can go work on other tasks, you can go make some food, you can make some coffee, and then you can come back and you get a donut. And then once you get the output that you're looking for, you can start animating yourself in Blender. And that's why I mentioned it's so important to understand the actual interface of Blender, because now you can build these models really easily without sculpting, compositing, or modeling experience. But then you can go and add camera movements, you can add animation, which just saves you a ton of time in the long run. Okay, it looks like it added some icing. It made it a little pink. You can see that the actual dough is this brown color and then the icing is pink. I'm hoping it's gonna add sprinkles, but we'll see in the actual final output. If you go back to Claude Code, it'll show you how it's working through this process. So it's deleting the default cube, sculpt the donut shape, create icing, add the brown dough material, add the pink icing material, add colorful sprinkles, so it is adding sprinkles, and then set up lighting and camera. Okay, so it looked like it added sprinkles. Let's zoom in here. The sprinkles are in the wrong direction. They're like pointing vertically instead of laying horizontally. And whoa, it just made them way too big. This is all fixable with Claude Code. All we have to do is prompt Claude Code to essentially reposition the sprinkles so they lay flat and make them obviously a lot smaller because this looks super unrealistic. So it looks like it just added the camera and some lights. Obviously the camera is going to be way too close to the actual donut, which we can fix later. And then it added a plane or almost like a table that it sits on top of. And if you notice that the shading isn't coming up for you, you're not in the actual rendered output mode. I'm just in the material preview mode. It's kind of cool too. It also added some depth of field, which like there you could see the closer the image is, it's a little bit more blurrier. The farther it is, it's a little bit more clear. It's really cool that Claude Code did this for me, and we can obviously change this all in post editing, but it still is really cool that Claude Code has these functionalities to just build in Blender. So what Claude Code is doing now is it's taking screenshots of my screen and taking renders of the actual Blender render outputs and then analyzing them to see, you know, is the camera too close? Is it too far? What's going to look the best? And as you can see right here on this output image right here, centered the donut into the entire aspect ratio of the camera in Blender. So if we go back and look at the actual camera, you can see that it updated output that it had in Claude Code to Blender for us to see. Okay, so it says it's done, and here's what it was built: the donut base, the pink icing, the rainbow sprinkles, and then the 3-point lighting, camera, and render settings, which is perfect. Let's go into our viewport shading method, and I believe this is in cycles. Yep, we want to have this in cycles because that's obviously the most realistic. Let's go into our camera view and let's render this out. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and let these samples render out this entire time, but just to show you the actual first output, I did this with one single prompt. This would have taken me hours, maybe even a day to actually build if I've never touched Blender before. And it's crazy that a basic tutorial on how you can learn Blender now can be done in under 15 minutes. Okay, let's update those sprinkles. We're gonna go back into VS Code and just prompt Claude Code to, can you update the sprinkles on the donut? I want them to lay horizontally in the icing. Right now they're sticking vertically out of the icing. So all I said is, can you update the sprinkles on the donut? I want them to lay horizontally. Right now they're sticking out vertically. Go back into Blender and check out this render in real time. Okay, so it looks like the sprinkles are now updated. They're laying horizontally on the icing. They're a lot smaller, looks much more realistic. If we get a top-down view, you can see that it applied the geometry nodes pretty well around the actual icing itself. And then the cool thing is it creates the scene collections for you. So your sprinkles are organized up here in the top right. The actual collection of the donut, the fill light, the ground, the icing, everything is organized. And you can prompt Claude Code if you want even more organized, or if you just wanted your light, your camera, and then your donut materials, and then your sprinkles all separated. Claude Code can organize that for you instead of you doing it manually. And boom, just like that, you have a donut in under 15 minutes in Blender. You can start animating. You can play around with Claude Code and see all the different functionalities it can do within Blender. It essentially is like an assistant for your Blender. So it's really cool. There's a lot of functionality for it. And I plan to go very deep into the world of creative AI, but Claude Code and Blender, Claude Code and After Effects, and how you can connect Claude Code to creative softwares to speed up your creative workflow. If you like videos like this, feel free to drop a like. It means a ton to me. And if you want to stay updated with creative AI, feel free to give me a follow as well. It means the world to me. Drop some ideas in the comments. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.